So you've got 102 megapixels. You can shoot crazy landscapes, super high detail portraits, architectural photography, you've got built-in in-body image stabilization, you've got a super high-res viewfinder. Let's talk about the new Fujifilm GFX100. So this is the new GFX100. It's a brand new medium format camera. It's the latest entry from Fujifilm into their GFX range of cameras. So following things like the 50R and the 50S. But with the GFX100, Fujifilm have just improved on everything. They've upped everything. This is just bigger and better in pretty much every single way. Now the headline feature is obviously going to be that megapixel count, that resolution. It's 102 megapixels, which means it's unlike anything I have ever shot with before. There's something about that from a personal level, from a photography level. There's just something exciting about shooting with 102 megapixels, and you can feel it when you're shooting. There's something about it. It's a little bit of magic, you know, that's just in the camera. So what does that mean from a photography level? Well, it means you're going to have incredibly high levels of detail. So if you're shooting things like landscape or portrait or fashion or food or anything like that, you're going to have these incredibly high quality photographs. Realistically, they're going to be some of the most high quality photographs you could possibly take. But it also means that you can use something like this, which is the 23mm GF lens. It's a pretty wide lens. And you can get that wide shot, but then you can crop and get a medium shot, then you can crop and get a close shot, and you're not really losing any noticeable detail because there's just so much detail in the image. It means that you can recompose in post completely. I actually had a situation where I was shooting a lighthouse that was up on a hill, but from where I was, I had a really nice perspective of it, but 23mm was just way too wide. But I knew with 102 megapixels, I'd probably be able to fix that in post. So I took the shot. I didn't want to get any closer because kind of going up the hill, I'd lose the perspective. So I took the shot and I was totally able to crop in post and get the exact shot that I wanted to get without any problems at all, which is such an amazing thing to have as a tool. It also means that you can completely change the aspect ratio in post and still be able to print pretty much as big as you want. You can take out half of an image, still have more than enough detail in there to print on the side of a house if you wanted to. It's also a back illuminated sensor, so it's improved for higher ISO values. So I tested it out a little bit for low light. That does seem to work really well. Handles those perfectly. I didn't have any issues with noise. The noise seemed incredibly fine anyway, so that was no issue at all. And that's just another string to its bow. Able to shoot in low light with that kind of resolution, that is exciting. Otherwise, as you'd expect from Fujifilm, the colors are really nice. I'm always so impressed with the colors from Fujifilm. They just look really, really good, and that's no different here. They look great. Again, the color reproduction is lovely. It's nice and vibrant and nice. It really matches the kind of style that I usually go for anyway. But one of the big things that I noticed as a difference here for the GFX100, other than of course that huge resolution, but one of the other big differences over things like the 50R is the autofocus. It works really, really well in this camera. There's face and eye autofocus, which was just locking on to my subject when I was shooting portrait and tracking her around the frame. That made it a million times easier, especially when you're shooting this high resolution. Every shot kind of counts because they're quite big shots. So you need a decent sized card, but every shot does count. And I was nailing every single one because of that autofocus. Other than that, it was just very, very quick. I wasn't getting loads of hunting at all. It was very quick to just hone in on exactly what I wanted to hone in on. Really can't praise that enough, actually. It seems a big upgrade, and Fujifilm have really knocked that out of the park. Now, on top of all that, Fujifilm have also included image stabilization in the camera, which is actually why the camera body is as big as it is. It's got to have that in there, plus the medium format sensor. There's a lot going on. But it really was noticeable while shooting. I shot the whole time I've been shooting handheld with either the 23mm or the 120mm for portraits as well. And I haven't had any issues. I've been able to shoot with slow shutter speeds, like 1/50th of a second, with no issues at all. That IS works very, very well. I shot a bit of video as well using that IS. I was just shooting that handheld, and that was with the 120mm lens. And I didn't have any problems at all shooting handheld. I'd usually expect a little bit of shake, especially at 25 frames a second. I'd expect a little bit of shake with a longer lens like that, but no issues here at all. I actually think the weight might help as well. Now, it's not super weighty, although we'll get onto that in a minute, but I think the weight of it might help to steady it in your hands rather than a light camera where you might be shaking a little bit more. So let's just talk about the build and the feel of the camera when you're shooting with it. It's a big camera. Now, there's no getting away from that. It is a large camera. You can see it's a big camera body. I personally didn't mind that at all. I've got big hands anyway, so that's fine for me. But it is quite big. There's a lot in the camera, which is why I think it's as big as it is. There's a big medium format sensor. There's image stabilization. There's space in there for 2 batteries, which I actually thought was a really nice touch. So it will run off just the 1 battery, but there is space in the tray for 2, which has actually meant that even though I've been shooting for 2 days, I haven't had to charge. Pretty much out of battery now, but I haven't had to charge the batteries at all because there's 2 in there. But it feels good. This grip is really, really nice. The camera, it just has a feel to it of kind of professionalism. It just feels good in the hands. Now, the vertical grip is maybe not quite as nice. It's not rubberized. Doesn't feel as good. But then again, it's nice to have the option there if you do like to shoot like that. Otherwise, the actual main grip is lovely. In terms of controls, it's a little bit different to Fujifilm cameras that you might be used to. So on the top of the camera, you've got this customizable screen, which shows you kind of all your controls, your shutter speed, your aperture, your ISO, in a really, really nice way, actually. So it shows them almost like dials, and as you change things, they'll change. I really liked that. It made it really easy to see exactly what my settings were at any one time. But you can also change the display to show things like histograms and other things. And that's a really nice touch. But you've also got, as well as this little screen at the top, you've got this screen at the back below the kind of main LCD screen, which shows you your settings. So you can see at a glance your white balance, your film simulation, shutter speed, aperture, things like that. It's just a nice thing to have on there, and it gives it a really pro feel again. Now, you might be used to with Fujifilm having the dials, like the shutter speed dial, the exposure compensation dial on the top. Whereas on this camera, you've got things like a really cool mode dial on the left with the drive button and then the screen on the right. I think this looks much more modern. I really like the look of this camera. I think it looks cool and it looks like a good camera, which obviously is nice because it is a really good camera. So I think it looks like a 2019 camera. So that's obviously a personal preference, totally personal preference. I like it, but it is different. On the back, you've got your buttons and controls with the touchscreen as well. I think it's worth talking about this viewfinder for a moment as well. It's a 5.7 megapixel viewfinder. It just looks so nice. Everything's super clear, really, really high res. It looks super smooth. It's really lovely to shoot with. It's probably one of the best electronic viewfinders I've ever used, and that made the shooting experience just a million times nicer. I really can't praise that enough. It makes a big difference. You've actually got some pretty decent video specs in there as well. It'll shoot 4K up to 30 frames a second and up to 400 megabits a second as well. So that's some really nice quality 4K video. That is a big upgrade over things like the 50R. There's no ability to shoot super slow motion. You can do 60 frames a second in full HD, so 1080p, but otherwise there's nothing like 100 or 120 frames a second or anything like that. It is a big upgrade over the previous entries. It's probably not going to be your A camera, probably not going to be your main video camera, but it's a nice tool to have in there. It's a really nice thing to have available to you. So I'd imagine most people will be looking at this as a stills camera anyway. So having that ability in there is useful because it could come up now and then. Having that nice high quality 4K, who knows, that could be a really useful thing. So who is this camera for? Well, any kind of professional user looking to shoot things like landscape or fashion or food or portrait, architectural, anything like that, where you're gonna need or want that super high quality, high detail image. Now you'll have a few options with it as well. You can either just fill the frame, have it as it is, and have an incredibly high quality end product with the image, or you've obviously got those options to then crop as well, so you can shoot a little bit wider and then recompose a little bit in post as well. It just gives you a lot of options. It gives you a lot of ways to shoot, and it is an incredible tool for any professional photographer just to have that level of detail. Now, if you do have any questions about the camera at all, pop them down in the comments below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That always helps us out. Make sure to subscribe for more content as well. We've always got new stuff coming. And as always, thanks for watching. Hold on, my dog's just coming in. You okay? Oh my God. Is he in the shop? Probably. I don't know. That's right. He's going under the desk. Nope, he's leaving. Probably going to go sit on the chair. No. No, he's going to stand by. He's standing by the camera. You want to? Okay. Okay. He's going now. Sit on his chair. Sit on his chair. All right.